I was watching. They actually had, which I didn't know was a thing, but they had two-person curling on last night or the night before, and I was watching it. It was enjoyable, but then I realized, oh, the Olympics must have started. People just, I saw a tweet from Chris Collinsworth saying the same thing. It was just like, that's right, the Olympics have started, and nobody's paying any attention.
No. And the Winter Olympics, I think, have been that way for a long time. I don't remember ever paying attention to it except when it was in Utah, and that's because they talked about it in school. And that was what, 2004?
I used to like turning in for things like the luge and
The Jamaican bobsled team,
Jamaica
which is
bobsled team.
back now.
Yes, they're back, which will be fun to watch if I think of it. But honestly, um, the Olympics just don't carry the allure they used to. I don't even think the Summer Olympics do as much.
Probably not as much. I mean, I remember it being big when snowboarding first became a part of it.
Sure.
That was a huge story. Um, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, I love the new professionalism rules and how it's going to help out like swimmers
Yes.
in colleges. And I think it's going to help out skiers in the Winter Olympics too, because I always felt bad. I think back to Missy Franklin. Here's a girl who's 15 and she won what, three golds
She
at the
got
age of
robbed.
15.
Yeah.
And then she has to make a decision. Do I cash in on this or do I go to Stanford? And it's just not fair for her to have to make that decision. She should be able to do both because then she gets hurt and is never the same player again and doesn't cash in after that. So I like the rules from that point of view. I don't know. I mean, the luge is one of the scariest things I can ever imagine doing.
It looks like fun.
Or the skeleton. I mean, you're
It's
on a
not the
toboggan.
skeleton. It's the skeleton, or
I don't care what
I
it's
don't.
called. I mean,
It's
it's
frightening.
all I'll be is a skeleton if
Yeah.
I mess up, and I would.
Well, we were talking about it. The only two teams people ever remember were the '80 Olympics team and the Dream Team. And honestly,
Right.
nobody ever even thought about the Dream Team until after. That Olympics was about Eric Heiden and winning 5 or 6 gold medals. He
Yeah,
won every race in speed skating, and then it was taken over by the biggest upset in sports history,
which is
which was the 1980 Olympic team over Russia, and then they went on to win the gold by beating Switzerland, I believe, or Sweden. They
was it
beat
Sweden?
they beat
Nobody
Sweden.
remembers. Everybody
Yeah,
thinks that the
yeah.
USSR match was the gold medal. It's
What's a
it's
big?
interesting. It's I wonder what it is. I don't think it's that people don't have pride in the USA winning. It's definitely not that. You mentioned professionalism with the Olympics. I don't think that's it either.
I don't know. I think that's part of it because there was such great pride in the fact that our amateur athletes were so great and they were going to the Olympics was about amateur athletics. It was the last great bastion of amateur athletics. And then when the dream team came along, and a lot of it was because the uh, USA basketball team started to lose,
Right.
and it's like we can't have this happen.
Yeah,
You know,
here's Jordan and Magic and Bird and
right?
Barkley and you guys have fun.
Yeah, we're just going to prove to you who really owns basketball. But I think it started with the '72 Olympics when the USA was robbed of the gold medal
Right.
by the referees, and they beat essentially a Russian professional team. Not once, not twice, but three. Yeah, I think they lost on the third time. But that's when he started first hearing about it a little bit. And then they came back and won. And then they went into the early '80s and then they lost.
Yeah.
I think they took a bronze. They may not have even medaled one year. But that's when they said, okay, we're going to prove who's number one.
Right. I think you know, chasing for ratings, I think has hurt it
Sure.
a little bit too. They took away wrestling from the Olympics for a year, which is the original Olympic sport.
Never should have happened.
Like,
I
what are you
actually loved
doing?
watching that.
Like, what Olympic committee is sitting here saying, yeah, let's get rid of wrestling? I know it was like the first sport, but nah, we don't need it. It's not drawing people. Like, that's not what it's about.
I knew people who said, you mean Hulk Hogan was going to be in the Olympics?
Right.
No, no, not wrestling. Wrestling. Regular wrestling.
I don't know. It's definitely. I mean, curling is. It was big in my hometown,
Sure,
and
we've had Olympians from our hometown.
yeah,
And
I
it,
don't know. I don't know what to do to bring it back.
curling's interesting because that's the one new sport they've added that has really caught on and people really tune in to watch. It's interesting. I mean, it was a mixed double two men team, which I never knew was a thing in curling, as I
I
said
didn't either.
earlier. It's
I mean, I
you know,
played it in high school. I mean, we had a curling rink.
yeah, well, of course, I played it too. I mean, I did it, and it was fun to do.
Yeah.
And never, but there, I did learn one thing: never, ever, ever tell a curler that it's shuffleboard on ice.
I mean, it
Don't say
is.
it. Don't say it. You're
I,
going to hear about it.
I mean, you have to sweep, but other than that, it's
It's not shuffle. I mean, you've got to rotate the rock,
yep.
and
It's
it's on the
definitely a
pebble.
different sport,
I'm fighting not to say it, but
but I mean, at the end of the day, there is skill to it.
there's a ton of skill to it,
I
and the
mean, the
people
people
that
that
can
are
do it are
good at it
great.
are
Yeah,
unbelievable athletes.
our
I,
vet in
I
Portage when we
mean,
lived there.
I don't know if you need to necessarily be athletic, but I mean, they're
No, but our vet in Portage when we were there, he was really, really a good curler.
yeah, there's a lot of good
Yeah,
curlers in that area. I mean, it was a high school. We had a high school team
still do.
in curling. It's still there. You know, they went on to win in some state championships, which
And like I
was
said, we've
great.
had, I think our
Uh,
gold medalists has come from the Portage
it's
area.
a great sport to play when you want to do something while drinking.
True,
I
true.
mean, I'd say it's right up there with bowling.
Softball back in the days of slow pitch when I used to play,
Yep.
we did not have designated hitters.
But I don't know what you have to do to draw people back to it. I mean, I don't know.
I honestly think that the Olympics were always an ABC sport. It was always on there. The iconic music that was on there.
Yeah. ABC or NBC?
ABC.
Really?
When I was a kid, it was ABC. That's where the '72 Munich Olympics, where the Israeli athletes were killed. Jim
Mm,
McKay had to step in, and he was the voice of the Olympics, but he was also then the voice of that incredible news story and so
right.
sad news story. So that was always on ABC. Now it's on so many different channels, it kind of watered it down
NBC
for
really
me.
carries it. I know it as NBC only, and I think an issue is too is there's so much that's gone on in the world
Yeah.
since I mean we pushed back in Olympics and now we have another Olympics.
Well,
It's like, yeah, this is great, but
we skipped out on we canceled one or decided not to go to one, then Russia decided not to go to one, and it was so political this year, and we don't talk politics on this channel, so we're not even going to get into it, but that's played a part in the Olympics. Should we even be in
it
China right now?
has. And
And
it's too bad, I mean it should be the United States athletes going and just kicking butts and
celebrate,
taking names and celebrating our country. And
yeah.
but I mean it's just I mean there's so much going on in the world. It's hard to even stop and pay attention.
And I'm not going to apologize for it. I still get goosebumps every time one of our athletes wins a gold medal
Yeah,
and our national anthem plays. And
amazing.
I am not apologizing for having American pride. I
Or
think
should
we're
you? I
blessed to
don't know
live in the
anybody that would apologize for that.
well, with everything going on. I mean, we're blessed to live in the greatest country in the world, and I'm not going to apologize for saying that. But I think a lot of everything is politicized now, everything, and I really am sad that that's in sports.
Yeah, it should just be about the sports. I mean, that's why you and I really started doing this channel specifically was, hey, we need to talk sports.
Yeah, we need
I'm
to give
I'm
everybody a
tired of
break.
everything else going out in the world. We're gonna sit here and talk about sports and be the distraction that people need if they need it,
Well,
and give generational perspective on things. And I think that is one thing that's awesome about our different generational perspectives, right? Because we talk a lot about how different things have been. But one thing that hasn't changed in all that time is the Olympics and the United States going wherever they want to go and just having pride in that. And it's hopefully we get back into it. Hopefully we clear out of whatever's going on right now and we can come back. And there's nothing better than watching those athletes wear the red, white, and blue.
Absolutely. And I used to love turning in just to see what kind of an outfit they were going to wear. And, it was always done by Hilfiger, which is a United States brand. But there was a lot of talk around that. Minor, yes, but still interesting to see those guys in what kind of a uniform they're going to be
Yeah,
wearing. But, and again, it's all about on this channel. It's about what's the one thing if and believe me, we've had our challenges as you've grown up and
sure.
as you become adult. Every family has challenges, but we
Yes,
were always able to talk about sports, and it always would bring it back around and made us realize, yeah, look, everything else we get through it, no matter what the issue is, and we start talking, and then we
right.
we bring it back and remember we love each other and move on with our days.
Right. And that's where sports, I mean, the first pitch after 9/11 is one of the most iconic moments. You look at who are the two athletes that raise their hands up
Oh,
for the
back in
runners of the Summer
the
Olympics. I mean,
'68
that's one of the greatest
Olympics.
moments in Olympic history. I mean, that's one I grew up watching.
No, you
Um,
weren't. That was '68.
I just mean that it was shown,
Oh, it was shown. Yeah, and
because it was an outstanding
that
moment.
was so controversial at the time. I mean, I was 8 or 9 years old at that time.
That's crazy because you see, obviously at the time it was controversial. When I was growing up, it was shown as, hey, here's American pride.
Yeah,
And I love the fact that we've gotten to that point in society where it's like, yeah, that's people showing, hey, we're Americans and we won and we're here to show that off.
exactly. And look, when it comes down to it, I don't see color other than red, white, and blue when I'm watching the Olympics or when I'm watching any sport. I'm seeing my favorite athletes. I've told you hundreds of times, Hank Aaron's my hero growing up.
Right,
Sports did as much to bring the country together uh, than
right.
anything I can think of.
And that's where it's back in the Olympics. It's those guys are wearing red, white, and blue. Hopefully, we get some interest in it because it is something where our country goes, and it's awesome. It doesn't matter the sport. It doesn't matter if you're a drunk out there curling or
Go
if you're
American,
working on your core muscles to be able to slide down a slippery slope at 200 miles per hour.
go American bobsled. I mean, we survived that scandal where uh, the former bobsled coach he had to go to Jamaica and coach the Jamaican bobsled team. We survived the scandal where he
Yeah,
put the
John
weights.
Candy was a pretty good bobsledder back
Well,
in
he
the
just
day.
played the guy in the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it,
Yeah,
that movie
not
was
none of that was fictional at
not
all.
at
That was the
all, not at
100%
all.
true
I
story.
was just so proud of the Americans for overcoming that.